All right, Guardians of the Galaxy review. Guardians of the Galaxy is just a fun filled action space adventure. It's riddled with all kinds of MCU connections. It does take some pretty big departures from the comic books. But it has such a great cast, such a great soundtrack too. Like one of the best soundtracks I've ever heard. Well, it can compete with Watchmen. But I think Watchmen is probably the best soundtrack I've ever heard. But Guardians of the Galaxy, man, it is rich and complex, layered in all kinds of ways. It starts off with this whole depressing, serious setting of a child losing his mother to cancer, getting abducted by pirates, and taken into space. And then we see this hardcore looking character going Indiana Jones on this place. He starts dancing around, and then it just gets fun. He starts dancing around, and it just gets fun from there on out. You have all the characters in here are pretty great. Groot, he's more of this silent, stoic type, and he really comes off kind of Chewbacca-like for this franchise. He is essentially the Chewbacca in this movie. You have characters like Gamora, who are exceptionally skilled assassins, and she goes from murderess to from an assassin to a hero. Over the course of the movie, she quickly bonds with Peter Quill and them, turns her back on Thanos. And you got Rocket Raccoon, who for the most part comes off like he's just some greedy, ignorant dumbass, but he does have some pretty clever plans, such as when they break out of prison, and you do see glimpses of his more sensitive side when he's drunk and being made fun of for being all the names they call him. For me, he's the least likable character in this movie. He is pretty obnoxious, more so in the sequel than this one. But Groot I found absolutely fascinating, and Peter Quill is just awesome, charismatic, funny, charming. He's got great taste in music. There's a lot of ties to the 80s, references to Footloose and all kinds of things. And they even feature Howard the Duck in here. Although I have to say I do not like the CGI version in comparison to the old costume they had in the Howard the Duck movie. That was absolutely great. It'd be awesome to see Rocket and Howard the Duck hang out together. Now, the Howard from the old movie that was just weird, where James Gunn obviously gets his personality from that weird movie with perverted duck encounters and such. But Guardians of the Galaxy, and I gotta hand it to James Gunn. I don't like the man, but he has some skill when it comes to artistic merit. And all these actors in here, Chris Pratt, absolutely great. I cannot remember what's her name that plays Gamora, but she's absolutely great. You have Karen Gillan in here playing Nebula. Lee Pace playing Ronan. Now, when it comes to Ronan, he's very one-dimensional. You don't get a lot of screen time with him. It's unfortunate. And I think he comes off mostly one-dimensional because the lack of screen time and fleshing out the character. He is intriguing. He is interesting. He's an extremist and wants to go to war, and it's all kinds of fascinating. The best part, he plays it very serious too, and the best part is by playing it very serious for the entirety of the time you see him. When it comes to Peter Quill, that just starts dancing in front of him near the end of the movie, his reaction, "What the hell are you doing?" They're so confused. Peter Quill tells him to dance off, a very footloose fashion way of saving the galaxy. This film's just so hilarious. There's so many different things in here. The way all the characters, the main characters, their personalities are drastically different, and the way they play off each other, the chemistry is just absolutely exceptional. You even have characters like Drax, who's just incredibly ignorant, and he can't even understand the blatantly obvious because he takes everything to such a serious degree. Like when Peter's doing the signal for cutting the throat or whatever. He's like, why would I put my finger to my throat? So you have all kinds of hilarious stuff in here all the way throughout. Even Michael C. Riley has he takes this note to Nova Corps and reads it off, and she's like, "Do you believe in me?" Like, well, I personally don't believe that anybody's 100% anything. Like, just all kinds of fun stuff in here, and the characters, the heroes actually get their names from the villain, Ronan, who dubs them the Guardians of the Galaxy, and Michael C. Rooker is absolutely fantastic in here as Yondu, very skilled. The Ravagers are pretty cool, but Michael Rooker himself, he comes off for the most part a one-dimensional, sarcastic asshole, but you do see elements of the Ravagers always talking about. He always gives a pass to Quill and all that, so you get to see that there are layers there that are only glimpsed at, that get fleshed out in the sequel. And there's also interesting notes, like the movie pays off the ending with him saying, oh, that one guy, I can't remember who says it to him, but he says, well, I'm glad we didn't take him to his father. And he's like, yeah, that guy was an asshole. So, they build towards the sequel in setting this one up, and at first, they don't work together as a team very well. You have them going after Peter Quill, and you have Gamora going after Peter. You have Rocket and Groot getting in the way of that, and they all end up in prison. And the jokes in here are just, there's a lot of borderline adult jokes in here, some good humor. It's a very enjoyable movie for adults and kids alike. And Drax, it comes off a very formidable opponent in this one, but he gets humiliated. He gets wrecked. All these characters have such strong moments that really pay off. And Groot, he ends up... movies like this, it's become quite clear that there's a formula to making a team work, because there's always that sacrifice. And in this one, that sacrifice pays off incredibly well. It's a very great moving moment, and it's very beautiful. The visual effects in here are amazing. All the CGI and the costumes, the makeup, they did such a great job here, man. Howard the Duck, his CGI is pretty weak to me, but the rest of the stuff is great. Exceptional soundtrack, the way Gamora shifts from murderous assassin to hero, the way Peter Quill is just like a flirt and egotistical in a way, but he can't back it up like Tony Stark. It's just really, really enjoyable. I mean, Guardians of the Galaxy is absolutely one of the best MCU films. There's not much else to say than that. I mean, this thing has all kinds of ties to the MCU at large. It's got moments in there that feel like Indiana Jones or Star Wars, while still feeling like a Marvel movie. So you combine pretty much all the greatest things from entertainment and throw it in one, and bam, you have just this incredible display of fireworks. And that's what Guardians is. Absolutely great. I'd give it a 9.5, if not a 10. I'd give it a solid 10 if it were not for comic book departures. But I'd give it an absolute 9.5. Lee Pace did make a good villain. It's unfortunate he was underutilized. Anyways, like, subscribe, comment your favorite moments from this movie, or your least favorite moments, your favorite characters, your least favorite characters, and stay awesome. Rock on.